safer and faster and way cheaper. Thank you.
We are a resource nation, and we have to get those resources to tidal water. So yes, I am in favor of pipelines. But I would rather see us upgrade some of that oil resources here. And so we get a better dollar value, more manufacturing jobs, more upgrading jobs here in Alberta before we send it down the pipeline.
Thank you. Our next question, just please make sure you state your name and the community in which you reside.
Hi, my name is Don McTaggart from Yellowhead County. Thank you, the candidates, for all showing up so that we can ask you some pertinent questions. My question is directed to Mr. Eglinski first, and then to all of the rest if they wish to comment. Why is the environment not an equal partner in your leaders' campaign slogans of "the economy is number one"? For surely a healthy environment is necessary both for our future and a healthy economy. Thanks.
Mr. Eglinski?
Thank you. Our government takes the environment very serious. It's been the only government in Canada's history that lowered greenhouse gases by 5.2%. But we've attacked the major problem solvers: transportation, coal-fired electricity. We've got the vehicles being reduced by 50%, large vehicles by 18%, and no more new coal-fired things. The environment can exist on its own. The economy cannot exist without the environment. And we're borrowing that environment from our children and our grandchildren. We must make sure that we give it back in the same condition we received it. Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things we have to understand is that there's this bit of this misnomer going on that you have to choose one, that it's either the environment or the economy. But it doesn't have to be that way. On the topic of climate change, we're fully committed to attending the Paris Climate Change Conference with the premiers and creating a nationwide strategy for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We have hard dates on that. That will occur immediately. And we're looking at a meeting when we get back from that occurring within the next 90 days. Because that's a strategy that we have to work together on. Additionally though, we have to work together with North American and Mexican partners to establish a North American reduction strategy. And because it's not just about us, it's about what we do essentially as a continent. But more so, it's about investing in infrastructure across the board with current resource-based technology, current resource industry, and the future of clean tech. Hundreds of billions of dollars at stake in that economy that we haven't tapped enough. So it's about looking at where we need to go. Thanks.
As with everything, the Libertarian Party wants to do things a little bit differently. The current environmental regulatory regime is grossly outdated. It deals with a fine system and some tiny little things that just might maybe hurt their back pocket just a little bit. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to change it so that they actually own the damage that they do. If they build a pipeline and it's substandard and they have a spill, we get to take them to court. For us, property rights are extremely important. With that, the Expropriation Act, we do believe that that should be removed. Because if we can remove these things, make the corporations actually responsible for what they do, they will clean up themselves. Industry knows how to do it. They're not doing it because they're being lazy, and nobody's given them the chance to start. Thank you.
We can have a healthy environment as well as a healthy economy. They don't have to be opposing each other. I care about the water that you're drinking as much as the water that I'm drinking, and the air that you breathe as much as the air that I breathe. You know, I remember back in the 90s when all the protests were happening on the west coast, the old growth forests. Environmental groups, regulators, the province, and industry got together and came up with better practices that the industry could move forward as well as helping to protect the environment. And we can do that whether it's the oil and gas sector or any other economic driver that we have in the country. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll get the microphone passed on to Ms. Wolf Lange.
Here we are. Of course, without a healthy and thriving environment, there is no economy possible because there is not enough raw materials, wildlife, life, water, air, soil, everything polluted. We cannot use to manufacture anything good. Everything is spoiled. So the consequence of the climate change also will be costly to the economy, much more than if we invest in clean energies and environmental conservation. That will be much cheaper for our governments. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, please. So okay, Jack, just so okay.
My name is Shane Miller from Edson, and this question is more or less directed at Mr. Eglinski and other candidates if they wish to give their input. But Mr. Harper just signed us on to the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal there, and Canada being one of the most sued countries in the world for free trade agreements, I'm wondering if this puts the rest of future generations at risk for their tax dollars being spent on lawsuits. And I'd like to know if the other parties support this deal.
The Trans-Pacific Trade Deal is great for Canada's future. It's going to give us a stronger economy. It's going to give small and medium-sized businesses the opportunity to expand their horizons. We're getting 800 million people out of this deal, people that we can trade with. Free trade and trade agreements with Europe, with Korea, are all better for the long-term economy of Canada. It's building a foundation for the future. Thank you.
This Trans-Pacific Partnership is a breach of democracy. Just the timing where this is happening, this government is in a moment of caretaking government. And this means that the government is limited to emergency procedures and should not be doing something so far-reaching. Another thing is that corporations have access to the full text of the agreement, but your representatives do not. What do we have to say about that? We don't have the text to even comment about it, and that's very worrisome. Thank you.
The problem is we just don't know. What the process is supposed to be during this sort of period where we're in an election, we're supposed to have a government that interfaces with the leaders from the other parties to go over the legislation, to go over the agreement, to establish, does it make sense for Canada? Now, we just had Mr. Mulcair a couple weeks ago come out and say that didn't happen. So when that process, which is supposed to occur, gets benched, we're benched. We don't know if it's going to be good enough for us yet. There's a lot of farmers around here, dairy especially, who have no idea what the impact is going to be on their families and their business. And there's a lot of auto plants out east that are also concerned. And again, when you bench that process that's supposed to occur, you bench the Canadian people. That's a breach of democracy, and that's just not right. Thank you.
As everyone's saying, we don't know anything about this program altogether. So all I can really say is that the Libertarian Party is pro-free trade, but that's free trade. Not picking one industry over another, not picking one winner over another just because they can put enough money into some politician's pocket somewhere. We are for free trade, and in the current form, I can't say that I would support the deal.
Today, the Conservative government offered the Liberal, NDP, and Green Party leaders to take a look at the final draft of the TPP, but then they wouldn't be able to talk about it until after the election. We don't know what's in this agreement, just like the other candidates said. From what has come out, It's not good for the dairy industry, it's not good for auto parts. It's going to make pharmaceuticals, your prescription drugs, more expensive. This is what has come out, and it has come out more from other countries than we have heard from our own. The NDP will not be bound by an agreement that's not good for Canada, that is being signed in secret during the election. Thank you.
Thank you. To our next question, please.
My name is Carol Wingrave, and I'm a small business owner in the hamlet of Carville. And I'm a member of Sir Optimus International, which has worked tirelessly for the past 15 years to have the Nordic model reflected in Bill C-36, which was passed. And this question is directed to the Green Party and the NDP. The Nordic model sees the criminalization of the purchaser of sex, and the Green Party would have it replaced with the legalization of prostitution as it is in New Zealand, which has been shown repeatedly not to work. So to both the NDP and the Green Party, will you be promoting the inclusion of prostitution at school job fairs and promote this as a meaningful employment opportunity for your daughters and your granddaughters?
Of course not. Of course not. This is not what is in our platform. What the platform means is a decriminalization of prostitution. We have a similar approach to the decriminalization of marijuana. That doesn't mean that we don't see that marijuana is a toxic substance and should be used with care, such as tobacco, alcohol, sugar. The same thing for prostitution. We cannot pretend we don't see it exists, because it exists. It has ever existed. One of the most ancient professions ever. So if we are criminalizing it, we just have to mobilize police and imprison people and everywhere. And this costs the government a lot. Just to decriminalize prostitution. Not promote.
No, definitely, we won't be doing any promotion of prostitution. I believe this is a social problem, and there are social programs that we can put in place to help deal with it. Instead of forcing everything into the courts and criminalizing social problems, we can actually get the people the help that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. To our next question. Just make sure you state your name first.
My name is Rory. The town I live in is Yellowhead Riding. My question is, what is your idea to do to the military? Expand it or make it smaller?
We're going to start with Mr. Maguhn first to answer that question.
Sounds good.
The question was, what are you going to do about the military? Make it expanded or make it smaller?
That's a great question. Thanks, Bud. The most important thing is that we have seen with the military a lack of support in terms of procurement of technology and items that are necessary. You just have to look at the F-35 fiasco. What it was originally billed at versus what the final price was going to be. Instead of open sourcing that contract, as per fair business should see, give every contractor out there a fair crack to give the Canadian military the twin-engine jet that it asked for, one that can actually fly, can actually fight, and can actually turn. Those are the military's words, not mine. Because that should be done in an open source sort of way, where you encourage the right kind of competition. You don't cherry pick your contracts from contractors that are going to do the majority of the work down in the States and not put Canadians to work in taking care of our troops and our military. Thanks.
We'll go to Mr. Lystang next.
Libertarian Party believes that we need a strong military, and in the money that we would save by bringing our troops home and actually putting them back where they belong, protecting our borders, we'd be able to expand the service and actually increase spending on the military. It's one of the only things that we would increase spending on as far as the Libertarian Party is concerned. We need a strong military, and we need it here protecting us, not cleaning up the U.S.'s problems. Thank you.
Thanks, Rory, for that question. You know, as president of the Jasper Roy Canadian Legion, I talk to veterans all the time, young ones that are just coming back from Afghanistan. They're proud of this country, and I think we have to start showing them the respect that they deserve, giving them the equipment that they need. We keep talking about fighter jets, we've been talking about helicopters. The government didn't even have enough money to fill up the ships for the Navy to take part in operations, NATO operations off our own coast. Now, if we're going to have a strong military moving forward, we can look at the pie in the sky big ticket items like the F-35, but let's take care of the men and women that serve for Canada.
I'll get the microphone down to Ms. Wolf Lange, please.
Canada is traditionally a country that has a role in peacemaking and peacekeeping. We do not have a tradition of waging war. We need to bring our troops home and deal peacekeeping treaties and support our veterans in all their needs. Thank you.
The Conservative government feels that our military must be increased. And we've just recently announced bringing on 6,000 more reserve military personnel. Our procurement of $40 million, or $40 billion towards new ships for the Navy is underway. We are studying the F-35.